What is going on, you guys? Blaze here with another lesson inside the Blue Chip Athletic Club Transformation Group. Today we are talking motivation. What is it? Why does it matter? And all things motivation into each of its individual parts. So, what I want to do is define motivation. So, real quick, it's the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. So, what I'll ask you is, why is that important? It's really important to understand a true reason for conducting a behavior or action, especially in a health and wellness journey. It's really critical. So, what I want to do in the rest of this training is I want to dissect motivation and I want to talk about what kind of makes up this larger level of motivation and make it really digestible and understandable for you. So, motivation breaks down into three separate pieces. You've got purpose, you've got energy, and you've got small, simple steps to get you there. So, at its base level, if you're able to understand your given purpose, give yourself energy and fuel in the right way so that you can move towards that purpose and have small, simple steps to build the momentum in the right direction, your motivation will always be there. Your motion will eventually create that emotion, and you'll conquer any challenge that's placed in front of you, not just health and wellness related. So, I want to dissect this a little more and kind of get into each of these smaller pieces. So we're going to start here with purpose. What is purpose? Why does it matter? How does this going to affect us in a health and wellness journey? So first, I'm going to start off with an extreme example. Now, I'm not sure if you know this or have ever thought about it, but your ability to move directly correlates to the amount of time that you're going to live, the quality of you, and the quality of the years that you will have left on this planet. This is kind of an extreme example that I want to talk about here, but life is damn short. The progression from my man here on the left sitting in the cane to my man here in the middle in the wheelchair to my guy here on the right in the hospital bed is incredibly fast. Assisted walking, wheelchair, and a hospital bed is not something that people typically want to talk about because, these types of things are relatively taboo in today's society. But this is the reality of people over the course of their life, unless unless somebody like Elon Musk, saves the day with some crazy invention. But what I want to like understand and highlight is like most everybody listening to this will have lost somebody in their own life to a progression like this. And I want you to think about a couple extra things. Were they overweight? Did they drink heavily? Were they smoking? Were they able to have a meaningful life with the people they love for as long as possible, or did their choices throughout their life hinder their ability to do so? So what I want to do is have you ask yourself, like, what is your purpose? Is it lifelong health? Is it living as long as possible? Do you want to play with your kids for as long as you can? Do you want to be able to travel after retirement when you're done working? Do you, want to be able to dominate in sports on your beer league softball team? Whatever your purpose is for moving or getting towards the goal that we kind of set up here when we started the program is going to be really, really important to kind of dial in. So, does your purpose have to be so serious? I got kind of morbid there with the example, but the reality is it doesn't. This is a true story, a text that I got from a client here at the beginning of the year, laying out their goals for this year to me. Now, am I against this goal or ambition? Absolutely not. Because this is something that got the client started, got him started in the right direction, got him started on a health and wellness journey, something that he desperately needed. But let's not forget, um, I'm not somebody who's holier than thou. I think I actually started somewhere in the same boat. I'm a dude who, for better for worse, always wanted to look better naked, hook up with chicks, whatever kind of the goal was. And it's a bit of the reality of being a human being. So if you don't kind of acknowledge that vanity is going to be some piece of it, especially while you're young, you're probably being naive. But what I want to highlight here is, does this purpose for training keep you going when you don't want to? Does having a six pack outweigh the desire to go party with your friends multiple times a week? Or does having the six pack trump when you're hungover and you don't want to go to the gym, or the bad night of sleep that you got from your baby waking you up, the desire to kind of punt the rest of the day because you're tired? I don't know. I can't answer that question for you. But more importantly, I also want to kind of discuss like what happens when you get the six pack. What happens when you reach the quote unquote top of the mountain? and you finally have reached your goal? Like, is that something that you get to conquer and say you did, and then you kind of fall off because now you don't really feel like you have a purpose as you move through your health and wellness journey? So my desire for you, my question for you to kind of ask yourself is your purpose, is it something that when you finally get there, you kind of just go back to old habits or you figure out a way to kind of regress back to where you came from? Or is it something that kind of keeps you going and isn't something that you drop whenever you finally get there to the destination? So that brings me to my next point. Life is a game, the game of life. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, but we're going to kind of key in on this here. Fitness is a game, health and wellness is a game. But one thing about that game is that Father Time is undefeated. He's coming for each of one of us every single day. We're all getting older, wrinklier, grayer, uglier, whatever you want to say. But it's happening constantly. So the one thing that I want to say is you can fight them off. You can fight Father Time and try and stay as active, mobile, and healthy as possible over time. But it's important to kind of view life as this never-ending game. There's no start line, there's no finish line. All you have to do is win this very moment. You have to win the moment they presented with. You get to fall in love with the process. You get to try, fail, try again. You get to enjoy the challenge, being a little bit uncomfortable, and that's kind of what instills some sort of growth. So if you're able to win the moment, if you want to boil this down to, relating to like some sort of a game that has whether it's football or basketball or whatever. If you can win the moment, you can win the quarter. If you win the quarter, you can win the half. You win the half, you win the game. You win the game, you can win your life. So the best example of this that I can really think of to be able to relate to you guys is my grandfather, who's quite literally is still playing the game. He plays basketball still. He's damn near 85 years old and still runs the court. He's the first guy to break out on an outlet pass. And it's incredibly remarkable. A couple of years ago, he replaced his entire roof on a 2,000 plus square foot home in 100-degree weather by himself. And he was 83 at the time. He still gets on the floor, plays with his great grandkids. And is just incredibly involved in everybody's life, still mentally there, still focused, still able to have conversations. He's fully independent. And it's just something that's incredibly remarkable to see. So, um, personally, this is the dream that I've kind of adopted for my own life. Playing with great grandkids, being able to move around, not being tied to assisted living when I'm older, because, a lot of people that are in assisted living can't do three-quarters of a body weight squat to sit down. They can't like grab a bag of groceries to carry them in the house with their grip strength. So I say this all to say like your goal or your purpose doesn't necessarily have to be some greater grand gesture, but being aware that the wedding that you're training for is going to end. It has an end time. Or your New Year's resolution of losing 10 pounds. Well, what happens when you lose the 10 pounds? What happens when the wedding's over? The vanity driven stuff really is beneficial for the short term, but tends to fizzle out over the long term. So whether you want to live a longer, happier life to make it more enjoyable when you finish working, whatever your unique situation is, I would just urge you to ask the question, is there more to your life or your, purpose in general to like work until you can retire and then die shortly thereafter? Like I personally don't think so. I don't think that's what I want for anybody who's, living on planet Earth, and especially nobody that's working in this program here at Blue Chip. But I want to just encourage you to not be afraid to search for that greater purpose or adapt over time. You may not have it right now, but when you are able to find something, hold on to it, because that's going to be a really huge moment of growth and expansion of kind of where you are and where you want to be. So, kind of ending that piece of purpose there, and going on to our next piece of motivation that we're going to cover, which is energy. So, what does it mean to have energy? Well, energy is pretty simple. It comes down to physical energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, and the mental capacity and or energy to do work towards your goals. So, how do you have energy, you ask? Well, it comes down to properly fueling your body, prioritizing rest and recovery, in general, hydration, I think would be incredibly key. So I'm going to go through just a rattle off of a bunch of questions here that I kind of thought of. Now you can kind of ask yourself as you're moving through your health journey or even as you're listening to this. And that's going to be like, hey, how's your nutrition? Do you eat mostly minimally processed foods, or are you shopping on the inside or the outside of the grocery store? How's your sleep? Do you have a nighttime routine that sets you up for success the next day? Do you have a baby that keeps you up most of the night? How do you get adequate rest during this time? Do you drink water throughout the day? How's your mindset? Do you speak kindly to yourself? Are you someone who gives all their emotional energy to their job and feels burned out at the end of the day? And that can be emotional or mental energy. Do you have a practice to regain energy? Are you someone who thrives in getting energy from other people or spending time alone? These are just a couple of the things that I would urge you to ask yourself when it comes to understanding what your individual needs are when it comes to energy and how you can optimize your energy moving forward. So, did this seem kind of daunting? Yeah, well, thankfully, the third piece of motivation, and actually, I would argue one of the most important pieces that's generally overlooked, is having small, simple steps to get you into the right direction. It's the key to making lasting change. Do you want to quit a yo-yo diet or workout plan? Find small, simple steps. Do you want to lose 100 pounds? Find small, simple steps. Because if you're sitting at the bottom of the mountain and the goal is so intimidating, it can be really tough to take one small step in the right direction. So the way to get around that is to take your first step, make it small, make it simple, make it something that you can repeat over time. And the craziest thing about this is that the small, simple steps, motivation in general, the components of motivation is so simple that it's boring. But these are the things that'll reinvent your life. You can't and don't have to go from never working out or not touching weights in multiple years to tracking food daily, working out every single day, never eating sugar, processed foods or whatever all at once, or ever for that matter. I still eat cookies. I still eat donuts. Thank God, because donuts are fantastic. Life isn't really worth living if you're not having a donut, let's be honest. But the goal in general should be to boil down your health and wellness journey into a small, simple, repeatable step that you can take to move the needle in the right direction. And that is going to help you become even more motivated because that motion is going to create even more emotion for you moving forward in your health. So ask yourself the real question is, do you lack motivation or do you lack some semblance of purpose, energy, or small, simple steps in the right direction? The best part about this is you aren't alone. You've got a coach here to help you and guide you through this process. So if you do lack one of these three things, this is a great time for you to engage with your coach and determine the best way to tackle it. They can help you get through your purpose, your energy, or your small, simple steps in the right direction to make it a repeatable process for you to continue to grow, adapt, and change in the direction that you want. So that's all I've got for you guys today. We've got your back here at Blue Chip Athletic Club and can't wait to help you derive the strongest motivation that you've had in your entire life. And we'll see you in the next video later.